Good afternoon, everybody. It's Gaming Boy here for your tropical update for July 26, 2020. Currently recording at 2:37 p.m. EST, and today's we're going to talk about Invest 92L and its potential impact to the East Coast and the Lesser Antilles. And we're talking about Hurricane Douglas, as seen on the screen right now. And right now, it's doing some impacts to Hawaii. See if there's deeper convection on here, and this thing is producing deep convection still as well, and when it's still weakening at this point. It's still weakening because it's entering some cooler waters out here and some dry air to its north. See these some of these cumulus clouds, as you can see at the infrared satellite, and you can see it a little bit right here. That's representing some dry and cool air in its environment right here, so that's the reason why this thing is weakening. Currently, it's still a hurricane, but it's expected to weak into a tropical storm out here near Hawaii. Right now, it's doing impacts on the big island of Hawaii. I don't really know my Hawaii island names, but I only know two of them, Kauai and the big island of Hawaii. So I know this one could get a landfall, or this one as well, but yeah, it can make landfall. It's certainly possible, but we don't know if it's going to happen or not. So, yeah, let's take a look at the true color. As you can see those feeder bands coming in right there. Some thunderstorms are trying to blow up, trying to form right here, trying to develop. And this one is right here. You can see you can kind of make out a little clearing a little bit. That was because from last night, it had a little, it still had a bit of an eye left in it. And now that eye is now getting covered up by cirrus clouds, and this is basically when it's going to start weakening rapidly, like once it goes out here. So yeah, all these islands out here are getting impacts from this thing, tropical storm force winds and hurricane force winds, maybe for these islands, and this before it weakens into a strong tropical storm, and yeah, you can expect it's likely to get tropical storm conditions out on these islands. It's like Big Island of Hawaii is getting a mist from these thunderstorms. You can see with the brighter clouds out here. You can definitely see they're getting a near miss from this system. They're just getting some upper level clouds coming from this system and some breezy conditions right now. I think they're experiencing some. Oh yeah, they're on the very northernmost part of the island. You're probably getting some tropical storm force wind gusts as well as over here in the middle. So basically, you're getting tropical storm force wind gusts possible out here. Hurricane warnings put up because you still have those hurricane force wind field in this system that could skirt the north coast of these islands, and then it will leave the Hawaiian Islands as a tropical storm just going out into the Pacific Ocean. No threat to land out here. You see tropical depression, and there's like 1,000 more miles of ocean, so nothing else is left to get impacted by the system once it leaves Hawaii. Yeah, taking a look at the intensity guidance, it's climbing down pretty fast actually into a tropical depression is what the National Hurricane Forecast Cone is predicting out here. Or it could actually stay as a tropical storm, which actually more models are beginning to agree with that now. So we'll see about that. Well, if anything, beyond this point, it's no threat to land at all. Maybe some rip current threat for Hawaii, possibly. And yeah. Now we're talking about Invest 92L. As you can see, let's go pause at the last frame here. And see, let me just try to find a little circulation on this thing. It's fairly big. So it seems like the circulation is beginning to form up here. So if it's forming in these convection, that can actually help it grow more faster because it's in basically near thunderstorms. Thunderstorms could wrap around it and basically start up a storm already. You see, it's still very disorganized with the thunderstorms displaced somewhere else. There's a thunderstorm around the center, it's only one, but Most of the thunderstorms are displaced away from the center. Expect not rapid intensification already, but very slow development right now, but that is soon to change into rapid development as we get into the future, basically the next 4 or 5 days from now. Alright, now we're taking at the model try guidance here. You can see it's still very well in agreement, but it starts spreading out. Basically right here is when it starts spreading out quite a lot. As you can see, these two models look like they're gonna get like almost a landfall on Florida. This one might just skirt the coast and maybe do that. Because uh, me looking at the models like earlier, I'm noticing a cold front right here, or like a little trough dipping down right here. That is just gonna make a sharp turn for the system to go out to sea. But this is far out in time, so we are not really sure where it's just going to go. It could either go out to sea like the models are predicting, or it could actually make landfall in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, because I think these 4 states are the most likely states to get a landfall on currently. And yeah, this major hurricane is what models are saying. Impacts could stretch from Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and possibly Georgia if it makes landfall over here. If it makes landfall down here, expect impacts from this extreme southern North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So yeah, different states will get impacted basically if depending on which state gets a landfall. Then up north, you get these most northern states to get impacted. More south, you get these most southern states to get impacted. So it depends on where you get the landfall, and it'll tell you which states will probably get impacted. Basically, here the GFS tracks here, and you can see it is starting at 1,009 millibars out here. And there's some slow development as we get into basically right here, 1,006, just 3 millibars down, and this is basically where rapid decrease in millibars occur, basically where this is, between this 48 hour and 96 hours where you get your fast decrease in millibars, increasing winds as well. And you see it deepens pretty rapidly, and as it gets up here, you can see one of the DFS ensemble members shows pink on there. That is 950 millibars and 940 millibars. That is getting the category 4 strength, and it could possibly make a landfall out here in the Carolina Banks. But letting you know, this is only one ensemble member out of like 20 or 30 of them. So as you see, the forecast cone is pretty wide right now. It's pretty wide. We just don't really know. Some models bring in a landfall to basically Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. Some of them just go out to sea, like most major hurricanes do that. But some of them just makes landfall, and that could be devastating for the coast. And also some of them goes through the whole entire East Coast, like South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York. Basically, all those states up here could get impacted by the system. So we're all gonna have to monitor this because I'm on the East Coast, so I'm gonna have to monitor this as well. So yeah, taking a look at the total precipitable water, as you see, there has since the last time I showed you guys this thing had barely spin out here, but now look at the spin on this thing. It's actually getting pretty violent, pretty rapid spin right here. You can definitely see that there is a lot of moisture as well with this system. There is some dry air up to the north that could try to get entrained into this system, but this thing has a very easy time developing right now. And yeah, it has a bunch of moisture up ahead of this thing. You can see there is a bunch of dry air going down, but that is basically for the systems down here. As you see, there is another tropical wave coming off the coast. It's a very small spin, kind of. But we don't have to monitor this because models are not picking up on this tropical wave at all. So yeah, taking a look at the wind shear. Oh boy, look at that. That is so favorable. There is 5 knot wind shear basically where this anticyclonic flow is helping with the outflow with this system. Once it gets going, that is very favorable. As you can see, there's some green 5 knot winds. Is that no? It's 10 knot winds actually. There's just a little pocket of 5 knot winds right in the middle of the anticyclonic flow. You can see right ahead of this thing, freaking God dang, that's just favorable shear for days right there. There is some neutral shear up north of this thing. I'm thinking this thing will kind of move north. You can not see my pen at all. This thing will kind of move north, and it's more likely that the system will take this track. That's just a bunch of favorable shear across here. So once the thing gets over here, yeah, it's just gonna start get going like fast. It's gonna keep going fast. Now to take a look at the models, GFS model. Yet last time I only took a look at one model, which no, it's probably not really that reliable because it's only one. Let me pull it out North Atlantic, the whole basin. So starting today, there is circulation on this thing. Asking this whole precipitable water. See a bunch of circulation. So now there's circulation. It's a low pressure center right now. Some thunderstorms are around it currently. Just disorganized currently at this point. And as we continue to hour 60, like 2.5 days from now, you see that it really there is now a lot of rotation on this thing. There's thunderstorms north of it. Currently, there is a steering currents currently pushing it towards the east coast. This is basically the reason why it's going to head towards the east coast. So going to hour 102, see it really starts to deepen. Let me try to zoom in here by using this 997 millibars. It definitely has gotten weaker. It definitely shows weaker system than from the last model run and the model before that. So it seems that the GFS is now showing a weaker system, and that is a good thing. But still, some models still show a category 2 or a 3. But this is one model, so I see it does deepen, but as it nears the Bahamas, it does weaken again to 1001 millibars. And this was talking about the cold front or trough right here. This thing's gonna steer it out to sea. So that is the reason why it does not make landfall. Yeah, we still have this high pressure sitting out here, but that's just gonna bring it towards that direction. So the GFS is showing no landfall, but still can bring impacts along the east coast with rip current and some showers coming on shore. That's about it. And taking a look at the European model, just been updated. It's just been released basically. As you can see, looks a very broad circulation on this thing. Broad. So see, not much vorticity. Basically 15 to let's say 20, 15 to 20 on the scale, I'd say. And it does not, European model does not show much development on this thing. It still remains broad. It doesn't tighten up at all. And yeah, European model does not show a thing developing at all. Maybe just max tropical depression. So yeah, taking like the GFS para is actually now getting hours because usually in the past 2 weeks this thing basically been setting at hour 06 and 12. Now it actually has something. So now I can actually look at this model. So you can see also broad circulation, but way much more vorticity than the European model. So as you take an hour 114, you see definitely all that vorticity is concentrated near the center. So that's definitely knowing when the center is tightened up with all that wind. As you can see, the model sadly ends here, so by the looks of it, it looks like it might make a landfall up here in North Carolina. So basically, yeah, you need to watch out all over here because you might get a landfall from this major Category 3 hurricane or a Category 2 or 1. It's likely to become a hurricane. That's just from me, my opinion. It's likely to become a hurricane. We still have this trough dipping down here. Still might bring it out to sea. But you never know. This is 162 hours far out in time. So we don't know. It could basically go far out to sea, basically over right here. Or it can basically be like almost like Matthew and skirt along the East Coast. Or just go straight into the Carolinas like Florence did. So this is far out in time, and let's check out the icon model. This is the last model we take a look at today. As you can see, right here, hour 63, broad circulation. It's actually better that these systems are so much bigger because they are less fragile than what Gonzalo was, which was like a tiny system about the size of this, maybe a little less, maybe smaller than that, like this small. So yeah, since it was this small, it's so fragile, it just breaks so easily, but it can grow fast, but that never happened. Gonzalo, currently, if you look at current time, it's basically right here, but this is hour 75, so yeah. So, shows very broad, but that helps on its way, because it keeps it strong. Hour 126, it deepens pretty quickly, and as again, we'll basically right here, we'll try to find its peak. Its peak is right on hour 177 with the icon showing, but it's showing it basically going out to sea. No threat, maybe some like low recurrent risk because this is quite far out to sea. But we have Bermuda out here, which is much closer from distance from it. So they're gonna have to monitor this as well. You have to keep an eye out and stay safe from this thing and prepare because this is basically like 10 times bigger than Bermuda itself. So yeah, that basically they need to watch out. The whole East Coast needs to watch out. Yeah, so we have a bunch of things to watch out in the season. And as you see, another tropical wave coming off. So we have a bunch of vigorous waves coming off the coast of Africa. And keep in mind, this is July, not August. You usually get these systems coming from the Africa coast in August, but it's July, and we're so far beating 2005 in named storms, but not in hurricanes and major hurricanes. And yeah, that'll do it for today's video, or today's tropical update. And if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. And talk to you guys later. Peace out.